The Texas Longhorns are fascinating as always. The great Vic Schaefer here to talk about his team. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win. Good!
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal. I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. Another record-setting performance out of the podcast. We showed up for you 6 days a week. Over 100,000 of you showed up for the fifth month in a row. There is an audience every day for women's basketball. We thank you for making us central to the way in which you consume it. And of course, it is not just me. It is the incredible team across thenexthoops.com. Over at the Next, we have over 100 reported pieces every single month. We have, of course, the great Missy Hydrick covering all things Big 12. Make sure you're subscribing, $9 a month, $72 a year at thenexthoops.com. And when we talk about the Big 12, of course, the place to start talking about it is when we look at what Texas has been doing over the past few years. I look at a team last year that had 5 players who were able to play 36 games total, 5 players. And you say, God, with that many injuries, what could the season have been like? Vic Schaefer's still 26-10. And now you go into this season with healthy bodies, with Rori Harmon back, with a couple of really intriguing freshmen, and no wonder Texas is preseason pick to win. Vic, I've covered you when you're the favorite. I've covered you when you're the underdog. You seem to like being the underdog a little more, but take me through what it feels like to come in here and feeling like you got all your players ready to go.
Well, it's, going through last year, I think Jeremy said we had 50 games that were missed by players that either started or played over 20 minutes a game. And yet that team was able to win a regular season Big 12 championship, host an NCAA tournament, regional, 126 games. I mean, you have to really tip your hat to that team. We finished the season with 3 guards for 3 positions down the stretch, trying to win a championship, and we had really gotten thin. We'd lost our leading scorer with 14 games to go in Sonia Morris, and then Jakalinga goes down the day before we play Baylor here at home, and so we were down to 3 guards for 3 positions, and still were able to close out our conference season and win a Big 12 championship. So really, and here at Texas, I mean, it's hard to believe they haven't done that in 20 years.
Right.
So it's, we were fortunate enough to win the Big 12 tournament championship the year before. Last year, we played in back-to-back tournament championship games. So I'm proud of that group. I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish here in a really short period of time. It's nice to have everybody back from that team. Mm-hmm. And then to be able to add a Madison Booker, who's unbelievable freshman, is going to be a monster here, or she's going to have an incredible career. You get a Gisela Mall, healthy, who was Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior in the state of Texas at the highest class, won back-to-back state championships. So you get her healthy, and then you add a 6'9" Abby, who's, there's no rush for her. I've got 2 veterans at the 5 spot, so you can really kind of, nurse her along and bring her along slowly. And so it's an exciting time for sure. Really, it's a great group of kids, great group. I enjoy coaching them, and they work really, really hard. And of course, when you got in my mind, you got the best point guard in the country in Rori Harmon. That's kind of where it starts. And so really, though, excited about this team. I got the first 6-year senior I've ever had in, Shaylee Gonzalez. I've never had one before, Howard. Nope. And we call her grandma around here. She's been around, been to the wars, another wonderful young lady, just a great kid. And so it's an exciting team. Really love them.
It's real interesting. And again, you highlighted there's a lot of, first of all, there's some similarities to some of your best Mississippi State teams, which I'm going to get into, especially when you kind of drill down into the numbers. But just when you think about, all right, what does it take to win a national championship? All the ingredients are there when you look at, the experience. And yes, sixth-year senior is sort of the logical extreme of the last few years we've lived through. But even having Rori back, and Rori preseason conference player of the year, Rori played 31 to 36, but I know we talked about this last year. Rori was not physically 100% for so much of that season, had to battle through so much. When you are trying to establish what she should be doing in her junior year, are there stats that you're looking at? Are there benchmarks that you do in that way? Or, how do you measure what you're looking for out of Rori here as a junior?
Well, first of all, I think we need to establish the fact there's not another player in the country like Rori Harmon. Mm-hmm. Nobody picks up 94 feet, guards your butt, makes you uncomfortable, establishes tempo defensively like Rori Harmon. Then you put her on the offensive end and she runs your team. She makes sure everybody's in the right place, doing the right thing. You have to guard her because she is absolutely a scoring threat at all three levels. Sees the floor extremely well. So I may be partial, but I've been around a long time. You're welcome to find me another player like her, because I don't think there is that does and plays as hard as she plays on both ends of the floor. She usually gets everybody's best wing player, or best perimeter player offensively. She gets them defensively. So she's really, and again, you're right. We didn't have her the first 5 games last year. Then we had to play about 3 or 4 and getting her back, getting her healthy. And we kind of stubbed our toe in a couple of those. And so it was nice to finally get her back healthy during the conference season. And then when Sonia went down, she had to absorb some of that load, in scoring. And so the numbers, like to see her take those 3 turnovers a game down to 1, and then probably shoot it a little better. Right. And other than that, she's just going to be, she'll be better this year because she's a year older, year wiser. She's spent time on her game this summer. It just worked extensively in the gym on her game, on her shot in particular. Came early, stayed late, brought players with her like a leader's supposed to do. Wasn't just about her. And so she's constantly trying to mature and grow in all aspects of her game, on and off the floor. And so I can't say enough about the kid. I mean, she's working. She's done all you can do to this point, and I think she's fixing to have a great year for us.
I love that she averages more than 5 rebounds a game for you too. But there's not that hole, like you said, other than the efficiency side of things. And if you can get her to a point, she was north of 30% from 3 as a freshman. So it's not like she hasn't flashed this. The free throw percentage is usually a better indicator statistically of where she's going. She was at 73 as a freshman. That dipped last year as well. Yeah. But a Rori Harmon from that perspective is somebody who's obviously able to get to the basket anytime she wants to already. That just gives you added range. I do wonder, though, does it also change in terms of your overall spacing and the ability to get more of those open shots, especially like you said, you have so many bigs who are ready to come down and score for you. Does it have that knock-on effect, and is it necessary? Is that going to change your offensive efficiency? Because just, as a point for the listeners to understand, Vic, your teams are known for their defense, but your teams at Mississippi State were top 10 in offensive efficiency. People just kind of lose that because of the pace. But
thanks for that, Howard. I appreciate that.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, the 1920 team was number 1 in the country in point differential. We led the country in point differential. Our average margin of victory in the SEC, this is an unbelievable stat,
Yeah.
was 21 points a game. That's unbelievable in that league. To your average margin of victory was that. We were second in the country in scoring one year. We were 11th in the country in scoring another year. And so, I think this team has a chance to be good offensively. I think the one thing you want to talk about with spacing, and people start zoning us, and you got to have kids that can make shots.
Right.
And I think that's where we've worked really hard at doing is all of my team has been in all summer working hard to make sure they can make an open three. I once heard Coach Krzyzewski tell his guys two things. One, you better fall in love with this place, talking about his gym.
Yeah.
And two, you got to make an open three.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so true. I mean, both those statements are just so true. And so I think all our kids have kind of embraced that. Some obviously are going to be better than others, but, I think right now Maul can make a three as good as anybody on my team. Gonzalez obviously is a great shooter. Shea Holly's a great shooter. She made a really big three this past weekend in the scrimmage. And Rory's worked hard on that part of her game. So I think it's going to be increasingly hard for people to guard us, no matter how they're trying to guard us, because we've got kids that can do all that.
No question about it. And we're going to talk about a lot of those kids coming up in just a second. But first, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by eBay Motors. Now, our partners at eBay Motors have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball host Josh Lloyd to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. Whether you're prepping for a daily draft or scouting the waiver wire, every week we're going to provide you some players who are guaranteed to fit on your roster. So let's see who Josh has picked out for this week's eBay's Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. He's got some good ones. Brandon Miller, he should be starting for the rest of the week. Dylan Brooks, we all remember his heroics at Oregon. My favorite of his picks, Bismack Biyombo. And it just feels like yesterday that Bismack Biyombo was a teenager trying to fit in offensively to do enough to justify his defense. Now, look, Xavier Tillman is dealing with knee soreness, which means Biyombo has already gotten 2 starts. He's going to continue to get them. He brings boards and blocks to your fantasy team. But what I want to point out to you is not only is he averaging the most minutes played per game since the 2017-2018 season, he is shooting 70% from the field. I know it's early. I know it's a small sample size, but seeing him do this so well, so soon, obviously makes him a very good pick of the week. Now, look, eBay Motors is helping all of us to do something that is normally very stressful, and that is to find the parts you need for your car. I am not an expert in this, but eBay Motors is. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you can make sure your ride stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your car needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it is guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. And at these prices, you cannot find anything better. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. So the talent depth is so interesting, and it's a healthy mixture. Before we get to that point, just to close on that point that you talked about, again, you go back to those championship years in Mississippi State, you guys were top 30 in three-point percentage both seasons that you went to the Final Four. And I guess I wonder, do you have a goal in mind? You're right. Some kids are going to be able to do it better than others. But, do you need that number to be 35%? Do you have a metric in mind for where it needs to be for you to get where you need to go?
Yeah, I think that number's always for us been in that 33 to 35 range. I think if you shoot 33% from three, it's 50% from two is what it equals out to. So I think that's the metric that we always look at. Anytime you can get up above 36, 37 from three. Now you got obviously multiple players that are probably shooting it pretty well. So, and again, I think that goes back to coaching. You just got to identify who has the green light and who doesn't, and then just make sure those that don't, find another way to help me win. Like, just because so-and-so can knock down a three, and that might be your competitor at that position, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to try to do that if that's not your game. You might have something that you do way better than just that, and so be really good at what you do. If it's breaking people down off the bounce, then be really good at that, finishing in the mid-range. I love the mid-range game. Lots of people don't coach it anymore. I love the mid-range game. And so, I go back to our time at Mississippi State. We stuck Blair in the corner and said, don't move. Just stand there. They're going to have to guard you. If they don't, you make a shot. Right. But what it did is she could make a shot, so they had to guard her. Well, that opens up the floor then to play 4-on-4, and it's hard to guard us 4-on-4, on a half court. And so, you just have to understand your role and then play it. Like, I bet Blair didn't make 5 to 10 layups in her whole career. But, she wasn't going to beat anybody off the bounce. Well, that's okay. Don't try. Don't turn the ball over trying to do something you're not capable of doing. And I think that's the part in coaching where you got to convey that to your kids. This is what you're great at. Yeah, she may be good at something else, but that's what makes up a team, right? It's the different things that everybody does, but just conveying that to them of what you do well, and let's really try to do that every day, every practice, every game, and that'll make our team that much better.
You're not able to get another year of eligibility for Blair?
Man, that's the worst decision I ever made, was not redshirting her freshman year, but that's all right. We had 4 great years together, and she ended up, again, kids like that are what's right with college basketball. She made herself into an SEC player, made herself into a first-team all SEC defensive team player. Took 90 charges in her career. She's not going to beat anybody off the bounce, not, from an athletic perspective, not going to out-quick anybody, but smart, heady, always a step ahead in her mind, but develop that. Her first 2 years were a struggle, but really embraced the opportunity, got better every year, earned her way to the point where her senior year, she plays more minutes than anybody on the team. And obviously had a big part in that 37-2 team. So, but again, you got to have players, that team was so good on the perimeter. Right. Really good. And as my philosophy is you win with guard play, you win championships with guard play and size. And so it starts with guard play. You got no chain, you have all the size in the world, but if you don't have any guards that can handle it, like, we're going to beat that every time. We're going to play we call it playing post defense 30 feet from the rim. You better have guard play. If you got size and you want to get that size of the ball, you better have guard play. And I like our guard play. I think we're veterans out there. You're talking about Shaylee and Shay and Rory. That's 3 veterans that are out there. You come in then with Booker and Maul and Jakalinga. Those kids are all kids that have, they're elite players. They've been to the wars, and we're trying to get, we got Jordana trying to get her healthy. So it's I like our guard play.
It's exciting. And yes, I agree. It's great that Blair is providing those insights on your staff now to the generation coming after her. Just as a media member, it was delightful to watch her play, miss covering that, but glad to see it all the same. But to your point though, about your bigs, you have no shortage of size on this team as well. I know obviously losing to Leah Moore 9 games in last year was a challenge. Where is she at this point? And then, you combine her with Deanna Daston and Taylor Jones. Before we get into freshmen, just, what are your expectations there? How do you kind of see that breaking down?
Yeah. So today's the day, Howard. She's clear for full contact, full practice. And I know she's chomping at the bit. She begged me yesterday. I had to call the doctor yesterday and go, I know it's a day early, but Amo's ready to roll. And he goes, we're going to wait a day. I said, yes, sir. I'm all for it. And so today's the day. She's clear for full practice, and excited to get her back. Obviously losing her last year, 8 games in, was a huge blow for us. But again, it provided an opportunity for Deanna Gaston to step up. She ends up being first team all Big 12. And so, that's college athletics. Somebody goes down, opportunity for somebody else to step up. Obviously Taylor's back for a 5th year, and she could come back for a 6th year. And so she's back for a 5th year. Finally had a summer. She told me this summer, she said, Coach, this is the first summer in my collegiate career where I haven't been rehabbing something. And so she had a really good summer. Hattie, Khadijah Faye, our other 5-player, played for her country this summer, won a gold medal. Again, another unbelievable, energetic rebounder, great defender, good help defender. And so I'm really comfortable there with those two at the 5. I can even slide Deanna there if I have to. She's so good with her back to the basket, but loves the face up, which I do too. And obviously turned out to be an unbelievable 4-player for us a year ago. And so you have those, and you get Amo back. And, Leah Moore, she's a difference player. We just got to knock the rust off as fast as we can. Amina Muhammad has been starting for us and playing at the 4 this year. Played, I think, 36 minutes Sunday in a scrimmage. And unbelievable. She's the second fastest kid on the team, incredible athlete, plays extremely hard, can guard. She's probably the second best defender on the team behind Rori, can guard 1 through 5. And so you got to find a way to keep her, on the floor as well. So we should have some really good competition, at that position. And it just depends on matchups. If we go against a team that maybe doesn't have 6'4", 6'5" down there in the hole, hey, Leah Moore's as good as anybody with her back to the basket, along with Deanna Gaston. So if we're struggling with Taylor and Hattie. So I like our 4-5 combination. We've got a lot of weapons there and depth, and those kids are all veterans. Amina was on the all-freshman team a year ago, and all those kids are offensive minded too, which is really good. So it's exciting.
It has to be so demoralizing to be playing a Vic Schaefer team, and you get through the layers of defense and you get to the rim, and then Taylor Jones has a block percentage of 12 last year, which is 9th in the country. There's just no rest to it. So I want to talk about the talented freshmen before we go. First, Locked On Women's Basketball is brought to you by Jace Medical. We spend a lot of time talking together, you and I. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. I'm thankful for that connection that we have. Today, I want our chat to be a little more personal. I just learned that you can get a 1-year supply on ED medications. You realize what that means? Bring on extended travel, the next natural disaster or supply chain issue, you are covered. You don't have to worry about whether or not you can refill your generics for Cialis, Viagra, or Revatio prescription. And that is possible because of our friends at Jace Medical. So go online right now to jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use the promo code LOCKEDON, that's LOCKEDON, at checkout for a discount as well. A verified customer had this to say about Jace. I am thankful for this service. Supply chain issues caused me to cut pills in half to have it. I order most of my daily meds within a year supply. I also ordered the antibiotic kit. I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for everyone. So if you or someone you know would like to get peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use the promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. And I don't mean to call out your freshmen, but I have to do it in the time that I was working on researching for today. I saw Abby Boutlier talked about that she looks up to Tierra McCowan. That is not true. Tierra McCowan is 6'7". Abby is 6'9". She technically does not do so. But I joke, but obviously you have a lot of success with a project, which, as you've talked about and T's talked about, where she was a project when she arrived at Mississippi State, turned into as efficient and as dangerous a true five as there is in the WNBA right now. How much does that inform the way you think about how you bring Abby along? She's not in that top 100 list. A couple other players that we'll talk about in a second. But, how do you navigate that, and how much does it help to have done that before?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had Chinway before we had Big T, and then
Sure.
we had Tierra. Of course, I had Danielle Adams, who was a JUCO player when we recruited her to A&M, that played on our national championship team. And so we've had a lot of history with bigs that we've developed over the years. And Tierra's, I'm just so proud of her and where she is today with herself, with her professional career. Looking back on her collegiate career, she played, I think, 11 minutes a game as a freshman, but had to. It was her and Chinway.
Right.
And so Abby won't have to do that. I'll be able to bring her along. We might even be able to redshirt her. So, Abby has great hands and she's got good feet. Now, there's some things we got to work on, that other than that, but that's a good place to start when you're talking about 6'9". She's got a wingspan of 7'3", and so we just, we can take our time with her and really work with her on the little things that'll make the total package. But excited about her future and how she can impact our team in the games that she's in. G, coming off that ACL, didn't play her senior year, got here in January, which is really good because she was behind in her rehab, and she's had all spring and summer to get that thing rehabbed and looks really good in practice. Going to play both the point and the two, give Rori some minutes there, but play the two some, also can shoot it. Has a real scoring mentality because she had to do that in high school, played on back-to-back, like I said, state championship teams. Right. Not sure she even lost a game her junior or sophomore season. And then you got Madison Booker, who's already won 3 gold medals for USA basketball, hadn't played a minute of college basketball, who can play 1 through 4, who's a mismatch nightmare at 4, but probably will play more 3, but might be the second best passer on my team with Rori. If Rori's 1, Madison's 1A. And just really has an unbelievable handle. Very comfortable running the point if I need her to. And so we'll, I feel really good about that. She's a freshman. She's going to have the freshman struggles occasionally, right? Foul trouble or, not having your shot one night. So you got to figure out a way to help me win in another way. But she's special. She's going to be one of the top 2 or 3 freshmen in the country. And going to have a chance to really impact this team and this program for many years to come. And
again, the SEC is not super excited that they're going to have to play you regularly very soon come next year. But I do see also some parallels there. And I'm wondering whether you see the passing's probably a little ahead of where we see from a Victoria Vivians, but in some ways, she was almost like you'd say, like the keynote speaker of the players you brought in. And I'm wondering whether you see Madison in a similar way here.
Absolutely. I told her recruiting her, and she knows my history with Victoria. She's built similar, but she's taller than Victoria. Really, much better ball handler than Victoria was as a freshman, much better passer than Victoria was as a freshman. But now Victoria was a confident kid and never never met a shot she didn't like, and I've seen her make most of those shots she ever took. To the bystander, they might go, "Man, that's a bad shot." I don't think I ever saw Victoria take a bad shot because I've seen her make them 50 to 100 times. I mean, so Madison is an ultimate competitor. She's a great kid, first of all, but works hard, loves the gym, loves the game. Cerebral kid, man. She knows the game, smart kid, but just an incredible teammate. Like, she loves her teammates and her teammates love her. And she's just the kind of kid that if you put the word culture up, that's the face that you put with it. I mean, she's just that person. I mean, I really love coaching a kid. She's a great kid. Again, an unbelievable competitor. And I think she's going to be, before she leaves here, she's going to be in the record books in a lot of places.
Is she starter from day one? I mean, Victoria was a starter from day one for you. Different program, different scenario, but yeah, starter from day one. Oh, man, cannot wait to see what
no brainer.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, listen, Vic Schaefer, it is always great talking ball with you. I am so excited that the season is almost here. To our listeners, I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We will, of course, be back with you tomorrow, as we are 6 days a week. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your pods. Go ahead and review us. Let us know how we're doing. Until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful day.
All right. Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.